Okay, I put it on Facebook and I put it on my class Canvas sites. There's a series on PBS sponsored by the American Institute of Architects called Cool Spaces. It looks into different cool architectural buildings around the country. I believe it's on every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. And if you watch it and send me a brief recap or what you liked about it, so I can obviously tell that you watched it within 3 days. Not just the recap from the TV guide, because I'll check that. Then I'll give you 5 points extra credit. So you should have, 2 or 3 weeks at least to get, it's on once a week. And I don't think I think tonight's the first night, although when I looked on, we have DirecTV. When I looked on that, it said first aired March 27th. But I think it started in other cities before now. Corpus is first airing it tonight, I believe. But if you can find a previous episode, let me know and I'll look at it too. So that information is on Canvas as well. So today we're going to talk about aluminum extrusions. I can never be a politician because I can't talk. And then, so this is chapter 21, and then we'll have a test over chapters 17 through 21 next week. Plus, remember that a draft of your final project is due. I think that's on Wednesday, but don't quote me. It's on Canvas when it's due. So we'll have a test on Monday over 17 through 17 through 21.
Are you going to put the key terms on the Canvas kit?
Yes, I will try to do that today or tomorrow at the latest. Got kind of a full day today, but let me write that down so I don't forget. Okay, so on to chapter 21, aluminum extrusions. Okay, so we talked about curtain walls the other day, and a lot of those are made with aluminum framing with glazing inside of it. So this aluminum extrusions is how you create that framing system. Is one of the most common ways anyway. And this is just an isometric of an extrusion. An extrusion, remember, it's like you have a mold or a die and you're squeezing the aluminum through a toothpaste tube and it comes out shaped like that. Or the pizzas of it, and then they snap it together. It's the most common metal used in curtain walls for obvious reason. It is very corrosive resistant. You really have to be brutal to make it disintegrate, and it accepts and holds a variety of surface finishes. You can make it different colors. You can, I think, anodize it. I don't think you paint it. You just color it with an anodized finish. It can be fabricated into many different shapes, but by this extrusion process, so you got a lot of design capabilities, and it's very lightweight, so that makes it easier to put up. It's not as labor intensive, but it's also very strong. And this is just a demonstration of the extrusion process. You push it through a tube with the shape cut out of it, and then you get it on the other side. Remember those Play-Doh things? You used to have those? That was an extrusion. So, you never knew you were studying architecture back then. Okay. So here's just a picture of a factory. There's hundreds of components, and a factory will make maybe 1,000 at a time, and they'll stock them up, and then they'll pull them out when they need them. They use a heated billet of aluminum is inserted into the cylinder and extruded out from the die. Then it's cooled on long rollers. Connections of extruded shapes. So how do you put them together? Some of these pictures you can see it easier up there than on the screen. You can, it has screw ports, which is very hard to see on the screen. Let me see here. Can you see them up here? No, this doesn't work. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'll burn my eye out. Okay. Never mind. So, You can see the screw ports right here. It's very hard, but it's just a little hole that's extruded, and then the screw will screw into it, obviously. And you can see here that they would put the little bracket there, and then there's screws going into there, and that's how they would attach all that together. Here's screw. You can see the screw ports easier here. I think there's questions about screw ports or something like that. Self-tapping screws are driven through screw ports to fasten an extruded aluminum shear block to the vertical mullion in that picture. Self-tapping means they have a little point at the end, and so you don't have to drill a hole and then screw it in. Connections of extruded shapes. Here you can see how they might snap them together. This is one shape in two different shapes, and then they're snapped and interlocked together. Do you need something? Okay, I think it's unlocked. And this is a ratcheted action. You push down and it snaps in one, and you push down again and it snaps in another. We've talked some about having thermal breaks when you use metal in your curtain walls, and this is a good demonstration of that, because you can see on the outside, if you're in Boston or North Dakota or something, your window would look like that, but you have that little rubber gasket or synthetic material, and boom, it doesn't go through. So it's a good demonstration. I mean, this will probably still be pretty cold because it's right next to the window, but at least it doesn't have ice all over. There you can see another picture of a thermal break. You have the outside part of the window right here. You can see this is the glazing with some sort of rubber edge on it. Then you got your thermal break, and this is your inside mullion. And this back here would be some sort of vertical mullion or column. You screw this piece onto that piece back there. This piece then snaps onto that bracket, and then this, you would put your glazing in, and then, or I'm not sure which comes first, but then this would snap on the outside to hide all that. Aluminum doesn't corrode, but does form an oxide film. So an anodizing is the process that produces an integral oxide coating on the aluminum. And like I said before, it can be done in many different colors. Organic coatings can also be used, such as fluoropolymer coatings and polyvinyl fluoride coatings are available in a broad spectrum of colors. Powder coatings, that's a popular thing, are manufactured with thermosetting powders applied electrostatically in the factory. Because even aluminum does get rust. Like if you have a boat with aluminum stuff on it, you'll get little rusty spots on it. So if you can get the powder coating, it's a lot easier to keep maintained. Baked enamel finishes consist of spray-applied acrylic. That's another good way to go. And there's a wide range of surface effects you can create as well. Here you just have a clear anodized storefront system. Brushed aluminum, I would call that, would be the color. It's just kind of a natural brushed look. You can see all the different components there. It's called a storefront system because the structure of the building is obviously concrete and brick, and then these big holes are left in there, and then you pop in the storefront system to fill in that hole. Aluminum, glass, and framing systems. So it's used quite a bit for entrances. Even down in our building, we have some storefront entrances where you come in. It's very light, like it said before. Rather than being hung, it is installed between the floor slabs and the openings. So this is a better picture. You can see a storefront obviously is hung off the side of a building. I mean, a curtain wall is hung off the side of a building, and a storefront is inserted into the structure to fill in a hole. Modes of assembly. Here it shows you kind of the steps you would go through. If you can read this. First, you have your structure, which is this concrete. So you would attach down here, it shows anchors. You would attach your anchor. Then you would do number 2, which would be a vertical mullion, and that would snap onto that, and you'd screw it into there. Then number 3 is a horizontal rail and gutter, which you would attach. Number 4 would be the spandrel panel. The spandrel is the dark, or you can't see, so it hides the structure or whatever you don't want to see, but it looks like glass from the outside. Number 5 is a horizontal rail that would divide the spandrel panel and the glazing probably. Number 6 is the vision glass, which would be the see-through glass, stuff that you could see through. And number 7 would be the interior mullion or the trim. So this is an interior application. There's both exterior and interior. So you would attach this from the interior, and the last piece you would put on would be that mullion or trim to cover up the structure. There's also unit systems. You can get a prefab type unit and just snap it in. You have to be a little bit more careful when you're with your shipping on those, for obvious reasons. The other way, you can just ship all the different pieces and put them together on site. This you have to have more protected shipping. And this is a unit and mullion system, kind of a combination of the two. You would put in your mullions, and then you'd slide in your glazing units probably. A panel system is made up of homogeneous units that are formed from a metal sheet. This is like stamped aluminum, and you would snap those into place. It's similar to the unit system, but you have to have a big shipping pallet to take it on, and be careful with it so you don't destroy them. If you have a lot of repetitive pieces, then that's a good way to go. Column, cover, and spandrel system. So here you can see the structure behind, which is just appears to be concrete floors and columns, but you don't want to look at all that, so you put your column cover, which would be a piece of aluminum, snap that on so it looks like you have nice columns. Then you put in your spandrel, and then you put in your glazing panel. That's a pretty simple process. So Conair is a company that makes a lot of this stuff, so they use their examples. And this just shows you how all the different pieces would go together. Number 1 is the vertical mullion. Number 2 is the horizontal mullion. And number 3 is the shear block. Do you know what a shear block would do? Shear, remember, makes things slide past each other. So when you have this shear block on there, and then you snap all this on there, it keeps it from slipping up and down. You got glazing gaskets, which is number 4, right here. You have pressure plates, number 5. You have a snap-on cover, number 6. You put that on to hide all this screws and stuff. And then number 7 is a molded rubber plug right there, and that just kind of sticks it into place. Here is a whole unit with all the different parts. This is an outside glazed curtain wall system. That means you install it from the outside. And you can do that when it's not too high of a building. Once you get higher, of course, you want to try to do it from the inside. But you can see all the little section marks showing what you're looking through. This is kind of a squashed vertical section of the whole building. You got number 1 up here at the top, which would be your roof. Then you have a spandrel panel. Then you go down, you've got what the number 2 piece looks like. You go down to number 3. When you have these little dash lines, that means that's an operable window, and how do you think it will work? Remember windows? It will be a hopper, or an awning, or a pivot. This point right here where the V goes together is the hinge, or the hinge side. It would come out. So I think that's a hopper, isn't it? If I remember correctly. So anyway, you can see that this is an operable window because it's a different looking section. Then you go down, you got number 4, which is cut right here. Number 5, right there. In a similar position would be 5A. And number 6 would be down here at the sill. Then your horizontal or your other pieces are labeled out in here. So that's just, you can get a good feel of what all those different pieces look like. Here is a outside glazed curtain wall system detail of a vertical mullion. So the basic extrusion is a rectangular shape. This is it, right here. Its broken lines indicate where you could have a smaller profile. So if you didn't want this to stick into your space 5 1/4 inches, you could also order a smaller one that's only 3 1/4 or 3 3/4. The extruded plastic thermal brake attaches to the mullions with a projecting pine tree spline. That's this right here. See, it looks like a little pine tree. So this is a thermal brake, and you push it in there. The glazing gaskets attach to the aluminum pieces with projecting spines right there. That's the glazing gaskets. And they're on both sides, as you can see. And then you snap on that on the outside. This would be this one was a vertical mullion, meaning it's going to go up and down. You're looking, these windows are going to go to the side. Horizontal would mean it's like the window sill. It's going that way, and we're chopping through this way. So on this one, you see that you have, you've got your main rectangle, and you can also have a shorter piece. You have aluminum extrusions added for the spandrel glass. So down here is the spandrel, or no, this is the glazing. Down here, the see-through glazing, it's double, so it's insulated. The spandrel doesn't have to be, since it appears solid, it doesn't have to have a double glazing, so they have this little snap-in piece to take up that extra room. You got weepoles, just like you do in brick, but they're not shown. They are drilled horizontally into this so that if any water gets in here, it can find its way out. They're also drilled vertically through the bottom part. So. This is an example of a building with outside glazed curtain wall system. Outside meaning that it's attached from the outside. Inside meaning it's attached from the inside. You would work on it. The final piece would go into the inside. It's more convenient for tall buildings, like I said. And again, you have the vertical mullion. You got the horizontal mullions. You got a shear block for the same reason. You've got glazing gaskets, number 4. You can see those right there. You've got a snap-on cover, number 6, and I skipped number 5. You got pressure plates. And number 7 is the bottom half of the extrusion. Again, you got the same wall, and then you got pretty much a squashed vertical section of that wall showing what all the different pieces look like. It looks the same, but this is an inside glazed system. So the last piece you install, I think we'll see that in a minute, is on the inside. So it's not on the outside. So here is a vertical mullion of that same type of system. Again, you can have a longer or a shorter piece. You've got your thermal brake down here, number 3. It's an H-shaped extrusion. You got removable plastic gasket or removable glazing gaskets, number 4. And the glazing pockets of different depth allow glazing from the inside. So see how this is a small space and this is a large space. On the other side, if you go down to the next vertical mullion, you'll have a small space. So what you would do is you would take this piece of glazing, after all of this is snapped together, you would come in from the side on the deep pocket, snap it in there, or actually you would probably come in from this side. Well, I'm not sure. No, you go in from that side. That side, snap it in over there on the other side that has a lesser pocket, and then you put in this gasket. And then you're done. And that's a horizontal mullion, like a window sill. And here you can see that the bottom half is the bottom half of the mullion is off until the glass is installed. That would be number 1. The interior glazing gaskets are installed after the bottom part of the mullion. That would be number 2. And then number 3, the exterior gaskets have a different shape, which are installed before the glass is installed. So all of this is here. Then on this case, if you're installing it from the, you would slide it up in there so you have some wiggle room, and then you'd snap it down and put your gasket on. And then you'd put this piece on last. There's a little demonstration of it, so I didn't have to show you. So this is how you would install it from the inside. You're standing in the building and installing it. Here's a picture of an inside glazed aluminum wall system. Rain screen. We studied that the other day, didn't we? Remember what it was? What does a rain screen do?
Keep out the rain.
Right. Basic. Keep it simple, silly. So the rain screen principle you have to add to these to curtain walls. You want to make sure that you keep the wind-driven rain, gravity, and capillary action that would draw water into your structure. If water has leaked in along the vertical edge, it will fall by way of gravity to the bottom where it will drain out through the weep holes. If water accumulates in the horizontal mullion, it is prevented from running out the ends by plugs shown earlier. We saw a plug earlier. It is also, its only recourse then is to drain through the weep holes. External gaskets serve only as a deterrent seal, essentially a rain screen. Internal gaskets serve as an air barrier. And the hollow spaces are pressure equalization chambers. Remember all those terms? That's a funky building, but it's a sheet metal rain screen cladding system. Behind the metal skin is a framing for support of these panels. There's a drainage space and a waterproof membrane. So just like in brick and concrete and wood, you have to have expansion joints in these kinds of walls. Because the building will move, things will shift around, things will expand and contract. Vertical mullions are attached to the edge of the building's floor with an angle anchor. Oval slots allow for adjustments, so you can see that it can wiggle within that slot range. Sections of vertical mullions are spliced with aluminum internal splines showing the dotted lines. So this would be an expansion, which you have this inside of there, which would allow it to move up and down over that and keep its strength. The spline is screwed to the lower section of the mullion with the upper section free to slide and accommodate vertical movement. So you can also have sloped glazing. Conair has another system for that. Very similar in many ways, but you have to be realistic about the water coming down heavier on this type of system than just a vertical system. So they have to make sure that the water has a way to get out before it can seep into the building. And they build in gutters in these, and then they'll have weep holes down at the end. Also, all of this is found in Section 8, of the specs, if you were so interested in reading specifications. But that's where you would look for it. Now I have a little video. Get that set up. You can see, I think, there's a steel superstructure, the concrete slabs section. Burj Dubai has a good video system too. So, I mean, if you just want more, you can look at all this. If I had time, I would show more of them. Anyway, let me close that. So now we're going to work on this detail, kind of like we did the other day. I'm going to try to do this. So here we have, this is an exercise that we're just going to do together in class. You can take notes if you want. So if you have your book, which you should look at page 840 through 844 in your text. get that out. Is that right? I don't know if that's right or not. Let me see. For guidance with aluminum extrusion design, see especially pages 840 through 844. That's the end of the chapter. I think that this exercise book was done for previous editions and they didn't update it. So now we got to find what we're looking for. Well, we just see, it's in chapter 21, I know that. If y'all find it, you can let me know. So this is a full scale. If it was on a piece of paper that was 8.5 by 11, it would be full scale, meaning that's how big it really is. A section of an extruded aluminum curtain wall vertical mullion, meaning it's the piece that goes up and down. So I want you to name and explain the function of each of the lettered parts. So that you see A, this piece right, okay, this piece right here, someone needs to tell me what that is and what it does. What does it look like? It's shaded different than everything else. It's a gasket. Well, what would it do? What is it? What's its job? No, not really. That's not its primary job. Look on page 852 and figure 21.7. You can see one there. Well, what does it do? What's the scientific or the architectural term for that? Thermal break. That's right. What does a thermal break do? I don't know why these things don't write better. You're like a first grader. You know what that means. Slows the conduction of heat through the mullion, right? So thermal break, I'm going to write it out here, slows conduction of heat or cold. Okay, so let's do a different color. B, where's B? B's right here. What does B do? It is where you put it, but what's it called? Screw port. So B is a screw. I wonder if I wrote in cursive. Screw port. That's not much better, is it? Okay. Okay. That receives RECEIVES, the screw. Okay, what's C? Where's C? Why is that one always fat? I don't understand that. Oh, it's a highlighter? Okay, I won't use that one anymore. What is C? You almost had it the first time. That little piece of rubber right here.
The gasket?
A gasket. Didn't you say that the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a glazing gasket. So what does that do? What does a glazing gasket do? Do you want that glass to be right up against that metal?
No.
So what would it do?
It would help you not, so it won't get cracked or anything.
Add a little cushion, so it makes a seal and adds some cushion between the aluminum and glass, right? So it's a seal, cushion between the aluminum and glass. Okay. Number D. Where's that? Hold on. Let me see what yours is. Oh, there it is. I'm blind. Okay. D. Notice that it's a separate piece. It stops right here. And it basically goes all the way like this, like that. So what's number D? Might have to search for that one.
Vertical molding?
No, the whole thing is that. I just want to know what that little part is. I know what it is, but I'm trying to find it in here to help you out. But I don't know if it's clearly identified. I don't think it is. So, let's try to see what it does. What would you do? This is if this snaps into this right here, so this part's already there. It's probably the last piece you would put on after you slide the glass in there. Then you're going to snap that on. So what it would obviously clamp the glass into the mullion, right? So it's called a snap-in glazing bead. on this worksheet anyway. So it clamps the glass into the mullion. Okay. E. Go back to black. E is this piece. Huh? Rafter? On what page? You mean the piece we just did? No, that's, you're looking there at a sloped glazing system. So that's actually, like on a roof, you have rafters, wood rafters. So that's holding up, that's a support piece. So that's not, we're looking at a different type of extrusion here. So what is E? You should know what that is. There's another piece over here. What do those look like? No. What is that? What? Huh? What? No, no, no. What material is that? What is it? There's two pieces of it. You slide it in. You put it out. Look at your details. It's the whole point of the whole system. You can see that in page 866. You can see it on page 865. What's the whole system holding up? Yes. That is the, and if you see two, of course you can't see it anymore, but if you see two things like that, is it single glazed, double glazed, triple glazed, quadruple glazed? Double glazed, that's right. Okay. So that's your double glazing. Okay. So now that you can't see the detail anymore, I'll ask you this question. Is this curtain wall glazed from inside or outside the building? This is the inside. This is the outside. So which way, based on what we've identified, the different pieces, is it glazed from the inside or the outside? Where are the parts in from? Hmm? Why do you say that? No. There's this piece you have to put in after everything's on there. You snap it in. So if you put your snap-in glazing, what side of the building is that on? What? I said this is the interior, even though I covered it up. This is the outside. Here's your snap-in glazing. Right. So it's an inside glazing system because the glazing beads are applied from the inside. This part, D. Snap it in, that's on the inside. Right? So it's inside. Let me see something. Oh, I erased the whole thing. That was dumb. There. Okay. I thought it wouldn't erase my picture. Okay. Let's see. C. Add to this detail a snap-on exterior mullion to cover the profile of your own design. So that's, they want you to add something out here that, because this is kind of ugly. You don't want, you want some architectural feature out here that would snap onto that. So if you had the worksheet yourself, you could add something that would like snap onto that, maybe be a circle or something, come down like that. You could have some sort of indentation on it. You could make whatever cool design as long as it snaps on. Is there any questions on that? No. Okay. Now, let's see. Any questions? Let me see something real quick. Because this chapter goes over 17 through 21. Which is glass and glazing, windows and doors, designing exterior wall systems, cladding with masonry and concrete. And cladding with metal and glass. Any questions on anything like that? On those chapters that you have a burning desire to learn? So I can either type out terms or I can vocalize them now and they'll be on the recording.
I like the terms,
You like them typed out?
the list, so I can go look for them and then.
You want me to do all the work for you? Please. Well, have all of you read the chapters? Really? Truly? You're going to read them before Monday? Or are you just going to look for my terms? Both. Wise answer. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, we could watch another Milstein Hall movie, or you could go. Hmm? Hmm? You all going to pass the test? You're going to do what? Get an A? You heard it right here. Okay. Tune in next week. We'll see. Remember the extra credit? A lot of you could. It starts tonight. If you have a way to record it, you can record it. My only requirement is that I don't want to, 3 weeks, think back to what happened this week on the show. So I want your recaps within 3 days of the airing. Or forget about it. So, okay? So you can record it and watch it tomorrow if you don't stay up till, I don't stay up till 11. So you could record it, watch it later, but just send me your recap within 3 days. Okay? Yes, and it's not what was written in TV Guide. I want to be able to tell that you watched it. Okay. All right. See you Monday.